Okay, let's get started with our introduction to Keras. First off, what is Keras and why would you use it? Keras is a popular deep learning framework written in Python. It has been open sourced in 2015, and its excellent documentation can be found under keras.io. In case you're interested, its source code can be found on GitHub under the following link. Okay, why would you choose Keras as your deep learning tool? There's quite a few aspects to it, and one thing I want to mention is community. Keras is a very popular library and has an active and buzzing community that might help you with any questions that you might have. So for instance, you might direct your questions towards the following Google group, or you join the following Slack channel, and people could help you there. All right, another crucial aspect that makes Keras a strong pick is its design. Keras has an intuitive high-level API that makes it very easy for you to get started with first examples in deep learning. With this intuitive API, you can quickly prototype new models and have a very fast development and prototyping cycle. Also, Keras is built with very modular building blocks and is easy to extend. So for instance, if you want to build new custom layers, that's quite easy to achieve with Keras. Another thing that makes Keras quite interesting is its ecosystem. For instance, under the following link, you find many resources built on top of Keras. That includes third-party libraries as well as full-blown applications built on top of Keras. Also, Keras comes shipped with many end-to-end examples that you can simply check out and run. On top of that, in Keras you have many pre-built models that have already been trained for you. And there's quite a few datasets available in Keras. So that means you don't have to manually download many of the standard datasets out there and pre-process them, but you can just load them through the Keras API. Another interesting aspect to Keras is the concept of backends. So one way to view Keras is you can see it as your deep learning frontend. So essentially what Keras provides is your high-level entry point to deep learning. But in the back, what actually runs Keras is different engines that do all the heavy lifting. So there's a choice of backends available for Keras. First of all, there's Google TensorFlow, which is also the default engine for Keras, and we will exclusively use TensorFlow in this course. Then there's Theano and also Microsoft CNTK. You can quite easily swap backends, and depending on your configuration, Keras runs seamlessly on CPUs or GPUs. So before we introduce the concepts of Keras in more detail, let's just have a very first look, a glimpse at an example built with Keras. The first thing you do is you load the dataset, in this case the MNIST dataset for handwritten digits, directly through the Keras API. Then you define a model, in this case a sequential model. After we've done so, you can just add new layers to your model, one by one. After that, we compile our model with a loss function and an optimizer and fit our model on training data. On a high level, that's all there is to it. Every Keras example more or less looks like this. Alright, to install Keras, we first have to install a backend. As we said before, we're using TensorFlow here. So go ahead and install TensorFlow with pip install TensorFlow. Optionally, we also need to install other dependencies. For instance, we need the library h5py for model serialization. So go ahead and install it through pip install h5py. As a last step, we need to install Keras itself through pip install Keras. All right, that was the first introduction to Keras. In the next video, we introduce the sequential model API of Keras.